Thank you, everyone, for coming forward.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we just wanted to make sure. Kids can get and then the seniors are looking at something else because where that pool is made, it's, you know, you have definitely inside the pool, so it's not safe. We don't feel like it's safe. Yeah. Oh, you never? Okay. Yeah, so it's like indirect.
Anybody for public comment? Yeah, I'm over there. Wait, I'm gonna pick I got something to say. No, we're up.
Just take a call. Okay. Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Good. All right. So we are getting started a little bit late. Sorry for our lateness and tardiness. We are going to start the overall committee as a whole, a special board meeting of the President and Board of Trustees for the
Here.
Mayor Booker,
here.
former president.
And then let me call Trustee Williams because he is actually out of town for business. Sorry about that. Okay. So, hey, just when you to the meeting. So when we had a longer record commission meeting. Time is 7:12. So we've added Trustee Williams to the board meeting.
Mayor,
Trustee Williams.
will village manager Frank Torres be joining us?
He sent an email to everyone last week. He won't be in today. So he's on vacation this week. All right. So can we get Clerk Garrett to give us an invocation, and then we.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in this evening. We'll bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you as humbly as we know how. To thank you for this time of gathering together to serve the village of Maywood. We ask that you come in with your presence and allow everyone to be respectful and allow this meeting to go peacefully as we do the business for the village of Maywood. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second. So moved by Trustee Brandon, second by Trustee Sanchez. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Ousley. Aye. Trustee Smalley.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon. Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, financial management reports. We have financial management reports, and we have the warrant list. Are there any questions for the Director of Finance, Ms. Satchel? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Satchel. We'll move to Village President's report. On Village President's report, are there any questions in regards to anything on the Village Manager President's report?
Oh, yes.
Trustee Brandon.
Give me 1 second, please.
comment and get back to President's report.
Okay.
So for public comment, do we have anybody for public comment?
Yes. Barbara Cole.
All right, let's go.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
And this is my first time seeing the new board members. And, I really would have liked to have the slides to that, at some point. But, in this era of low voter turnout, I just think that, I almost missed this meeting myself. And I think it was because of how it was promoted. And I know, you can't take advantage of everything that's out here with all the social media and all that kind of stuff. But the only thing that I saw was this, Mr. Booker. Where was this published?
The actual newsletter that went to over 12,000 people.
Okay, and see, that's the problem. If 12,000 people saw this, there should have been more people at that meeting the other night. What you put out there was not, heard by, was just very few people in the audience. So I think that was a real missed opportunity. So somebody called me, I would have missed it myself, and especially since how it was presented. Join us for fun? That doesn't go with the announcement here, of this very community engagement informational meeting, and along with the pictures. Maybe if the pictures weren't there, that would have drawn more attention to.
No pictures would have drawn people?
Say again?
No pictures would have drawn people?
Well, I don't know, but it didn't, so.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my comment on that. Somehow or another, we're just gonna have to engage the community more.
Okay.
And I know you. But that particular wonderful.
You don't get no fight out of me?
Okay, so somehow or another, we're gonna have to do better to increase voter turnout. Now, I wanna talk about the pool. And the fact that in this sweltering heat, our kids don't have a place locally to go on
That's not
a
true.
daily basis.
Don't lie.
Wait. I know that you're doing something at Provider East, right? And that's
So that means that there's an opportunity.
Say
So to
again?
that you can't say that we don't have it, but then we have to.
I'm just
do it.
saying that we need to take advantage of what we have.
Gotcha.
And even with the pool that we have, we can open that up with some sprinkler systems or whatever. And prolong, the wonderful plans that you have for the pool complex. That's wonderful. But we can do something right now, okay? Okay, thank you very much.
Deborah Flemster.
Good evening, everybody. All right. Again, my name is Deborah Flemster, and these are the questions that I have for the village president. Do you agree that it is the right of every citizen to engage with their local government? Do you agree or disagree that included in their right to engage, they also have a right to question policies, plans, projects, and expenditures that come out of their tax dollars and directly impact them as a member of the community? Do you view the questions presented to municipal leadership as a
little more?
Oh, I'm sorry. I also was at the June 24th meeting, and so my question in regards to that is, of the plans outlined in the discussion we had on the June 24th, what has the village identified as priorities for this fiscal year? What are the timelines associated with the implementation of those projects for this fiscal year? Are there scheduled opportunities still for community input? And what has the village done to survey the citizens to determine what the citizens of Maywood see as priorities? Thank you.
Warren Beckler.
Did you hear me?
Meeting held across the street regarding housing and the residents as far as with grants and different things like that. And I had another best friend of mine said, man, get there early. There's going to be a line back to Washington. And yet, like always, it was only 25 people there. One stat that Maywood can't hide from around the surrounding communities, we're losing houses at a alarming rate with people not paying taxes. That was very informative. That was a different meeting Ms. Cole was at, but the same with this meeting. It was very informative. In regards to that, talking about the redlining that was from Washington to St. Charles, from 10th to 14th, that would only blacks would only be about houses in Maywood back in the day. So I think we need to move. We have to. Like the ward back there, like we had back in the day, even in Maywood. We have to help some zoning for these trustees. And thank you, Trustee Asia, for coming out that night. But we have to, we lose an alarming rate. We have over, I went to a seminar 2 years ago, Cook County Land Bank, over 80-some houses in Maywood. No other surrounding community had that. And he had this seminar, and he had this for people to come out, and nobody came out. And there was no outcry. There would be an outcry. You guys gave hell for 2 months about a car. Did they get the car? How much it cost? The citizens and the board, both you guys. You know what I mean? When did you see the receipt for the car? But nobody was there about these people under the blanket. And I thank you, Mayor, for sharing it. But you only give the people the information. You can't make them go out and hear about it. And the final thing I want to talk about is 10th Park. I see they start working on that. That's my part. So I'm going to be on that. Trustee McGill will be on that. And I'm down there watching them daily. They need some waters, I give them water. You know what I mean? I'm going to make sure that park is done right, and I appreciate the village. And also, I'm 5th and Lexington. That's out of my district. But I love to see those children playing over there. When I ride by there, I told my wife, I got to go get home. What you going home for? I said, get some graded rays in the water. They have some active to do, and I thank you all for that. We can't talk about it. We don't get enough to do, active to do. So that park will be done. I seen somebody there today. I said, they crazy out there today now, man. It's 87 degrees. But they was out there enjoying themselves. And I just didn't have time. But I told them, hey, I blew my horn and said, I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, Ms. Flemster, your first question of engage, yes. Your first question of questioning, yes. Your first question.
So you're just gonna give me a yes, no?
That's all I got for you. Engage versus
Question
just
two
comment.
is agree.
Ma'am, this is not a back and forth. I just want to be clear. The village of Maywood does not have to respond to public comment whatsoever. We are not legally obligated to. Respectfully, I am trying to comment to your questions, but this is not a conversation. Okay? So your question in regards to, do I view it as a place to engage? Yes. Do I view it as a kind of time to question? Yes. Do I also know that within this so I don't view public comment as the time to engage because we have a community engagement department. So that's just my opinion. If you want to speak on public comment, respectfully, when you look at multiple other board meetings, they accept the comments and they move to the next topic. So I implore upon every resident, and I do all the time, my office is available, the Department of Community Engagement is available. A board meeting is not the time to engage. So then, within regards to question engagement, we have multiple community events, but we also have the community engagement department. So that, to me, versus a board meeting, is the time to engage. The budget's been approved, so I would say in thought process, which was at Standard Park. The next one is Monday, July 28th, and that is at the Waterworks Park, where we have every department that has a table. But we also are highlighting different upcoming things and surveys and things being taken by staff at those events. So we do have those. So if anybody wants to have those type of conversations, we have the quarterly meetings for Healthy Maywood West Cook. So each quarter there's a luncheon to talk about it. There are 4 different community engagement events in 4 different sectors of Maywood to talk about them. And then there's different committees, which is the committee meeting that Ms. Cole was referring to, where engagement department. But I want to be real clear. I do not personally believe that a board meeting is a time to engage. A board meeting is a time to pay bills. But the asking overall, engage, yes. Question, yes. That's the reason why under this administration we established community engagement as a department that did not exist before. Mr. Beckham, so you went to that last meeting. I'm gonna have a fight for you. I don't got a response. I think realistically, that meeting was because we are acquiring properties now as the Village of Maywood. We are dealing with the fact that there are properties that did not pay their taxes for decades that we're addressing. That meeting was to make you aware that we're making different programs available. So we have a new covenant project that we're focused that you probably should have, because you signed in, you should have received the call for July 7th that goes over the RFP. That meeting is the one next Monday on July 7th that goes over the process of the RFP for properties in regards to acquiring them. I think the biggest piece that the Village of Maywood is dealing with right now is we're trying to reactivate these property taxes, which is why we're no longer the highest taxed community in the western suburbs. We're reactivating property taxes on a residential and a commercial level. So meetings like those, I think the 25 people showing up to a meeting that never existed before is not a bad thing, right? So the meeting never happened in the previous administration. You got 25 that showed up to a new meeting that never existed before. I don't really see that as a bad thing. So have those RFP processes available on the website for those that can't make that meeting. They'll be able to view the properties and be able to review the RFP process on July the 7th as well, because our goal is to reactivate taxes that have been blighted in blighted spaces. We got grant funding from the county, so we are tearing down some properties and cleaning up some others. But the goal is to reactivate them, and you'll see the first phase of that on July 7th. And then 10th Park, yes, construction is starting on 10th Park. You'll see August 9th is where we're looking at our back to school festival, and we're looking at our Inspire Fest to take place at 10th Park on August 9th. That will showcase, highlight the work that they're doing.
Time where residents will ask questions and the village manager will field those questions, and that culture has shifted. But I did want to put out there that there's a task force being developed around these type of conversations, and so I wanted to invite the community out for that. That's happening tomorrow, starting at 11:30 at Meals a Day Cafe. And so, because community engagement has been something that I've heard, not just from a administrative department level, but just across the board, the community would like to visit as a whole, and I think that's something that we can no longer dictate to the residents, but we need to hear their feedback on how we can move. We know what that means to the community, and particularly I know I like to focus on the basketball court, but Conner Heights Park in general is a safe one. So thank you for saying that. As far as the county land bank, I did not attend the meeting that you're referring to, but I know property taxes in general in this village is very important. There's a lot going on as it relates to why people fall behind on property taxes, why people, whether residents or leadership alike, are having issues paying their property taxes on time. And that's something that we have to think about. A lot of it has to do with the major drivers are equalized assessment requested from the county. So, there's just a lot to be said about how we address that. And that's something else that we'll be talking about. Typically that would fall under something like a community development department, and, other entities that would help manage that with our partners, residential, but then also commercial. You have entities like the Chamber of Commerce and et cetera. So those entities are out there. There's support and help out there to make sure we do get more community engagement, because I think the sentiment is that there's more than 25 people or 5 people that should be interested in engaging in these conversations. So I don't want to be cynical about that. I mean, we spend a lot of money mailing.
I would say I don't want to look at this as a public endorsement of a meeting that a specific trustee politically is having in regards to their own personal opinions. So the meeting of, if you are not in favor or happy with how the Village of Maywood is moving forward, come to this meeting at the middle of the day. It's not a Village of Maywood meeting. It is a specific individual trustee holding a specific.
Please don't speak for my meeting.
Well, I'm speaking. It's not a Village of Maywood.
I know. So why are you speaking on it?
Because
don't speak on it. It's not with the Village of Maywood. It's like you said, it's my meeting. So don't speak
trustee,
on what I'm.
You're out of order.
Well, no, you're out of order. Don't speak on it. If it's village related, then you go ahead. Did not have a
You
village
spoke
emblem on there,
on
so
it
don't
at a
speak on
village
it.
board
Don't speak on it. You don't have, please don't speak on what you don't know,
I
and what you're not interested in.
At a village board meeting is not a Village of Maywood meeting.
Correct.
That is all I'm saying.
All right, and that could be it.
So if it is about what you personally believe, or you personally feel, or you're personally trying to engage in your personal conversation as a trustee, it has nothing to do with the Village of Maywood.
Correct.
And that is legit. All I'm saying.
I agree, yes, sir.
Okay, that's literally all I'm saying. Okay, thank you. Aaron, all right, trustee Sanchez.
I'll make it really quick. I just want to inform everyone, the village, we had Fritz Grady across the street about a month ago. We need to be aware when these leaders are coming to our community so that we can ask these questions when they're there. Because a lot of these questions, we have to hit them. We have to hit them because we all are worried about our taxes. They keep on going up, and these are the times when we should engage with these Cook County administrators and leaders.
Thank you, trustee. All right, moving on to village manager reports here. If there are any, oh, I'm sorry, trustee Brandon, you wanted to go back to resident report. You had a question? Somebody emailed you?
Yeah, and I know we're moving quite quickly through this agenda, but I do think there are some items that deserve some time and attention from this board as a whole. One of the items I would like to speak to is what's on there, and I talked to the attorney in employment retention.
Yeah, that's going into closed session.
Okay, that is going to closed session. Okay, so my next item is pertaining to, I had the pleasure to attend the liquor license meeting earlier today and listening on that conversation. I was highly concerned about the conversation that was happening as it relates to the business on Fifth Avenue. And the Vibes business. And the reason why I was concerned is because of the conversation that was happening. Going to be a hookah lounge, right? And so it is my understanding that in order to have like a hookah lounge, that you cannot do a liquor license. Mm-hmm. And so what I heard being created, and I found it to be very concerning about just the conversation as a whole of how this was being created. And so state law prohibits hookah establishment from selling alcohol. Mm-hmm. But at the meeting, it appeared that we were creating something special that don't even exist yet, or just to have this property to have a liquor. The attorney, not just chiming in more as it relates to providing guidance as to how we should move. And so this just goes to a larger point or a larger perspective of this entire board needs to have a vision of what it wants Maywood to look like in some of these critical areas, right? And so you have one establishment, which is Legends Grill, which is supposed to be a bar and grill establishment, right? And then we have an establishment next door, which is Vibes, which is supposed to be a hookah lounge. And now we're just giving it a liquor license without the liquor license. You feel that it is okay for this board to move forward to give it a liquor license, knowing the direction of this establishment. So it's not a bar and grill, right? It is proposed to be a hookah lounge. Knowing what the state law is, it is your advisement that we move forward to approve a liquor license for this establishment without having really any clarity of which direction the establishment is going to go into, or how it's going to even operate. For me, that was just, I was a little disturbed when I was listening to the meeting. Establishment that we don't don't even know what the purpose of it is going to be.
All right. So one trustee,
Is the attorney not?
the attorney's not acknowledged yet. So I think the reality,
Questions for you? What's Robert's Rule of Order?
Robert's Rule of Order is not for you to talk, but for me to provide clarity. That's Robert's Rule of Order. But that's fine. That's not
All right.
So at the end of the day,
But the
I
question
think the
was
one, I get you, I hear you. I think only one part is when you're,
You a child?
so this is my piece. There is a point of clarity to be provided when things just get said, right? Any trustee or any person who lives in the village of Maywood can say whatever they is exactly that, a liquor license application. In the current state of Illinois, you cannot be a tobacco location that does hookah, cigar, or cigarette and sell food or alcohol. At this current present state, there is legislation within the state of Illinois to change that. The reality is, you have the owner of Legends, which is right next door at 9 North 5th Avenue, looking to bring in revenue for a building that he has purchased. So liquor is the only option that he has while he's waiting on state legislation to change for hookah to bring in revenue for that facility. Because that's when the state legislation goes back into session. So as you have a business owner who has purchased a facility next door to their establishment, even if he's serving alcohol at one location, his kitchen is right next door, so he can still serve food. He knows, Building and Code Department knows, and the state knows, he cannot do hookah right now. No different than Exclusive Lounge that's opening on the 400 block of South 5th Avenue. They desire to provide hookah on the upper level. They know they're providing liquor. They know that they're providing food. They know they cannot provide liquor until the state legislature to the Building and Code Department to ensure that hookah is not smoked until there's legislation for hookah to be smoked at that establishment. So to be concerned or have a question about a viable location making revenue and bringing in property tax on a location that has not paid taxes in over a decade. So now you have a new building that is tax generating revenue for the building that has not paid taxes in over a decade. On top of, you have new state and village taxes that can be brought in, such as revenue from the sales of the lounge. I don't see that really as a concern. And once hookah becomes a legal conversation, so the other things that you believe and that you're aware of or that you know of, those applications of hookah are not before this board right now. At the time, legally, it's something to bring before this board, we will have that conversation. It's just not right now.
And again, my question was for the attorney.
Sure.
And so,
Attorney Mars.
Did you understand my question?
I did, yeah,
What you need clarity?
and, you know, the way the mayor explained it just now is the way he explained it during the liquor commission meeting. We're acting on the application that is before us tonight, which is for the Class N license. We're not acting on anything, the hookah stuff is for the future and speculative. If the state law doesn't change, they can't have hookah here.
So right now, we're moving the hookah situation out of the equation, right?
Okay.
We're talking about just a space serving alcohol
Okay.
on next door to a space, right next door to a space that, according to the mayor, the current person owns.
It's not according to the mayor, you know it, so just say it. It serves food, it's a
You talked about
restaurant.
being
It's not
respectful.
according to the mayor.
You just talked about being respectful.
Sure.
And you're breaking your own rules and
I'm referring
regulations.
to clarity.
You know, are we consistent with respect?
We're consistent with clarity.
Let's be consistent.
You've been in the establishment.
Okay,
you
so we
know
go
that.
again. Basically.
I mean, I don't know what the interior looks like, but they are somebody who is applying for a liquor license. If they meet the qualifications in the code, they are entitled to have a vote on a liquor license.
And we currently have a liquor license established already that allows for people just to have a space and sell alcohol?
Yeah, we have a Class N bar and grill license, and it says a Class N licensee may operate a limited food service restaurant. So they may have food, they may not.
So is it a bar and grill?
Trustee.
It's called a bar and grill license.
So let me say this.
It's called bar and
I-
grill, but it's not a bar and grill.
These are the type of things that we gotta stop. There is emails, phone calls, text messages that goes out about this board packet. These questions should be done prior to the board meeting. You have a business owner who has chosen to invest in the village of Maywood. A business owner that has purchased a building in the village of Maywood. A business owner who has chosen to purchase the facility next door to their operating business, which is literally the first sit-down restaurant of full service that was brought to the village of Maywood in decades. That you are having extreme concern over. Looking for, regardless if he makes it a speakeasy, regardless of if he makes it a comedy show, regardless if he makes it Wine Down Wednesdays. It's literally a commercial venue that is applicable to a liquor license from an active business owner in Maywood looking to grow their business in Maywood, and that is what you have a concern for, Attorney Marks.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out in the Class N bar and grill license, it says a licensee may have a limited kitchen with a limited food menu, but also may establish and maintain active business relationships with local and regional restaurants.
Understand the logic here. I get the
Well,
word,
logic is going
it's
to the overall image of what the community will look like in the area, just having a establishment just selling alcohol. So I'm just trying to make sure that
But you know that
this
there's a
board
full
has
kitchen
a
next
vision
door.
for what it wants that corridor looks like. But I can carry on to the next item.
But you know that there's a full kitchen because you've been to the restaurant right next door, right? Have you been to Legends before?
I'm not talking about the restaurant.
I get what
sir.
I get what you're
I'm
saying.
talking about The establishment in which the liquor license is being requested for is what I'm speaking of. And I'm talking about having a comprehensive plan of what we want that area to look like. That's what I'm speaking about. But we can carry on to the next item because I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Is looking to establish more space for his venue. At this time, it's a liquor license. Future reference of whatever application we'll go through will have to come back before this board at the same time.
My next item is under the village manager's report.
We haven't gotten to the village manager's report, just making sure that I went back to you. So if there's nothing else on the village president's report, we did have public comment. So now we're on the village manager's report, which would be trustee Grant.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make a statement regarding my opposition to the purchase of the property based on Lake Street for several reasons, including of a defined use for the property.
This is item C.
This is item C. And so I just wanted to highlight that because of the amount of money, the amount of taxpayer dollars that we're spending on this particular property. I was highly disturbed by the fact that this board failed to negotiate a better price for this property. Actually, there was no negotiations at all. That we are looking to purchase this property for over half of $1 million of taxpayers' dollars. And what was also concerning to me is where we were getting the money from as it relates to the purchase of this property, which was the rainy day fund. So for anybody who understands the purpose of having a rainy that wasn't negotiated in no type of order, and just spend money all willy-nilly. And so I was really concerned about that, and the fact that this property will again be taken off the tax roll with no identified purpose for the property, was concerning for me. And so, the money should be reserved for emergency purposes. So I just wanted to highlight item number receipt under the village manager's report, and that's the reason why I oppose that particular item. And then under item D, as it relates to, and I have requested this in the past, but have not received it, as it relates to that we use. Is there a sign-in sheet? How do we know what the participation rate is of young people taking advantage of the opportunity, so that we can see if it's effective, if people are engaged in it, if people are utilizing it? I don't know, because I've never seen any numbers or reports to state otherwise. And so I would like to again request a copy of any sign-in sheets, registration forms, or anything of that nature, just to be able to track the level of engagement as it relates to youth utilizing the provider use pool to swim, or the community utilizing the provider use pool to swim. And then my next item is negotiate this price. Has there been any additional negotiation regarding the price of the property? Before the attorney, do you know?
Yes, there was. In fact, there were 2 confidential memos transmitted to you. I'm sorry. From Ms. Kitch. They talked about the negotiations on both properties and the activities that took place since the last meeting and efforts to get the price lowered. And on the 1309, 1319 South 2nd Avenue, I believe the price, they came down $6,000. Is that correct, Michelle? And so there were negotiations on the Lake Street property as well. They just refused to go down.
Well, I didn't know that. I thought we just accepted the price. So
It was all detailed in her memo.
okay, that's what the board had discussed. But so, for me, I would have liked to see, as far as process-wise, that we come back, like in an executive session to discuss whatever information that was negotiated, whatever was communicated, because to my understanding, at the last meeting, when we were talking about the specific property over on First and Lake, very adamant about making sure that we negotiated that price down. And so I just wanted to make sure that was clear for the record. But it was my hope that we could be updated in an executive, because we don't, all these additional emails that comes through, we normally talk these things through in an executive session format, so that we all on the same page, just in case somebody missed something, overlooked something, because we're voting, on, spending taxpayer dollars. We need to be, able to do our due diligence and stay on top of these numbers.
Okay, so I would say to the public, emails are sent for a reason, for you to read and review. So emails, documents have been sent for reading and reviewing. I think when we come to board meetings really are for action. So when there are questions, there needs to be a time where you read, review, and communicate. So if you have a question for legal, if you have a question for the village manager, if you have a question for the department head, you don't have to wait until the board meeting. You can call, email, or physically have a meeting prior to its time to vote and take action on something. Because that's what a board meeting is for, to take action on things. When you talk about 49 West Lake Street as a property, the purchase and residential to that location, as we're not looking to be another fast food community, the village of Maywood owns half of the block. We're looking to own the full block so that we can go into further partnership with Cook County of redevelopment of that property. That is a known thing. If there are questions about that, when your emails come through, the time to communicate is prior to a board meeting. So the $625 price, realistically speaking, if we look on First Avenue, is not a bad price, and it's actually under the evaluated value of the location. if you all, when we say 625 to purchase a full facility, a parking lot and a driveway, to be able to build on it for the village of Maywood as residential and commercial, that is what's being proposed. So I don't want anybody to think that there's something that we're not aware of within this property. And I don't want anybody to think that the 625 price tag to it is something crazy, because right on First Avenue, they paid $500,000 to end up tearing down 2 homes and building out a parking lot. So the 625 is not a crazy price. When you speak of the Proviso East Pool, we have the K through 5 summer program. We have the next prior to this meeting. So we'll make sure that the trustee is aware of those things, and it's effortless to provide us a sheet of children that we've already paid for to be a part of these programs and participate. The other one that was spoken on is 2nd Avenue, which is item K. Again, I just want to make the residents aware, it's not just one property, it's 5 different PIN numbers. So the Village of Maywood is looking at purchasing 5 different PIN numbers on 2nd Avenue because 1st Avenue has been rezoned as commercial. So the homes on, as you see, being torn down on 1st Avenue is to make way for commercial investment. On 1st Avenue, we've had multiple different new commercial investments. 2nd Avenue, that the Village of Maywood is looking to make a municipal lot to make way for the new purchase of the 1st Avenue building. If everybody knows, there's a gray building that was an old motor equipment space right next to the Prairie Path. Don Alfredo, who currently operates as a taco entity next to First and Lake at the gas station, has purchased that building. They would like to have more parking. The Village of Maywood, as we are expanding and growing into the 1st Avenue commercial corridor, is providing that additional parking. But also, as we're highlighting our community as a space to live, grow, and thrive in through the elements of a healthy Maywood, is also looking to provide parking for that space for the new restaurant that is coming on 1st Avenue, so that 1st Avenue has the space to be more of buildings and structures versus parking lots. So no different than if you go down North Avenue in Elmwood Park, or Grand Avenue if you go down Elmwood Park, nor if you go down Cicero in Riverside, the parking lots are on the block behind. That's why the buildings and the structures are everything that you see. That's all we're doing here in the Village of Maywood. Trustee, I'm not done. You spoke. Trustee,
what I asked.
Trustee, providing clarity of your narrative.
But you're missing.
Trustee, providing, I don't interrupt you. Please don't interrupt.
You just did.
Trustee, I don't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Don't interrupt me.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Negotiations, again, as the attorney explained, emails get sent to all of us. You have to read your emails. You have to review your emails. And if you have questions about your email, you can respond, call, or schedule a meeting prior to this meeting. You do not have to wait 30 days until the next board meeting to call Spectacle. There is space to ask, have conversations, and get evaluations prior to this meeting. So if it comes to development, purchase, or any negotiating call that took place, that doesn't have to wait until this meeting. That is all I'm trying to say.
You totally misrepresented and misinterpreted what I relates to.
That's just not true.
Purchase, and it's most certainly true. And the people on this dais know it's true because I advocated for it in executive session. But you can say what you wanted to say about it. My concern was that particular property, how much we were spending on that property, and the fact that we had no identified use for that particular property other than what you stated verbally in a meeting about some low income or mixed income housing unit that this board had no clue and no idea of what you were even referring to. And so what I'm saying, I'm speaking with facts, and that is we are taking this property off the tax roll. We're spending money out of the rainy day fund.
It's not
To even put that out there that we're not getting any money. We are. So Who are we buying the property from? We're purchasing this property from somebody in the tune of over well over half $1 million. And so my concern was taking property off the tax rolls, was the identified use for the property, because at the end of the day, we spend taxpayers' dollars. And our job is to be good stewards over the resources, over taxpayers' resources. That's it, and that's all. As far as the property over on Second, that was not my concern. I just wanted to make sure that we did negotiate the price down further, and it appears that that happened. But my concern, my major concern, was the property on First. They know that.
So what was advocated for was a lower price. The price of the facility is fairly priced. It actually should be more. The trustee, I don't interrupt you. Again, I just want every resident to be clear. It's not a one-on-one conversation with Cook County that the Village of Maywood is a part of Build Up Cook, which is an initiative through Cook County that only 16 communities out of 134 in Cook County are a part of. It is not something that nobody can Google search or go to the website of Cook County. You're unaware, and no one is unaware. That's just not true.
For First and Lake?
Trustee, for First and Lake, when we're looking at residential and commercial growth in that corridor, yes, Build Up Cook, Cook County, and the Village of Maywood, and developers are looking at that location. Anybody can Google search Build Up Cook and see that the Village of Maywood is one of the 16 communities that Cook County is specifically working with. So that's when I say the narrative of what you're saying doesn't make sense to facts.
Just get this a recording. So first,
I'm giving you, I literally am saying to occupy the building, we have to occupy. Okay, so let's be clear. Anybody in this room knows you can't talk about the development of a property unless you own it, right? So the reality is the Village of Maywood is looking at, we own one side of the block, we're looking at owning the other side of the block. We can't develop on a block we don't own. So realistically, Cook County cannot engage us on a property that we do not own. So at the end of the day, to take ownership of it before it becomes just another fast food rundown spot, the Village of Maywood has to own it. We can't look at developing on it without ownership. Cook County cannot engage us on developing. Sanchez.
Can we move on, please?
Yes.
Mayor?
Trustee Jones.
So we're on the village manager report, but I did want to talk about the village manager isn't here. I did see his email. He said he wasn't going to be here this week. I didn't know that meant the entire week. I'm under the impression that we're going to vote on his bonus today, or vote on his contract. So are we going to do that? He's not going to be here. The expectation that we're going to approve a decision, he's not going to be here to speak to us together. I know he wanted to do the individual meetings. I like having traditionally like when you're asking for a bonus and to get like a new contract where over 6 figures, you show me in terms of presentation, talking about professionalism and level of presentation.
Yeah,
this is how much you want, a bonus. So I just want to make sure, I would like to encourage the board to wait for the village manager to be here to make that decision, because I have some questions about this. 1. 2, in terms of First and Lake, this is what I'll say. That history, that area has had a lot of development conversations, and a lot of it before our time. The most recent one that I remember was in relation to bringing a Popeyes there. Plus, those businesses are very well established, strong brands. First Avenue doesn't just belong to Maywood; it's a whole interstate. So people stop by certain places. They might have McDonald's here, Burger King here, Popeyes. That's just how people. That's more of a traffic thing. That's a regional appeal. It's not just to Maywood. The same way I wouldn't bash hookah lounges. I wouldn't bash establishments that sell alcohol. And because quite frankly, all of it, maybe to your point, in terms of a healthy Maywood, doesn't necessarily tie. So I do understand your concern, but what I will say is, like, let's hesitate about throwing out certain establishments, because some of those establishments bring in some of the, in terms of sales tax revenue, some of the highest that we see, including McDonald's right there. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably one of the more to throw those types of establishments under the bus, because it's not just about what I want personally. It's a regional appeal. It's about sales taxes. There's a traffic count, as you know, that flows down First Avenue. And so when we think about that, Starbucks is a great business, but they sell coffee, sweet coffee, and other things, respectfully. So when we talk about this stuff, let's be respectful about what people are doing or selling. It's not just about that. But I also want to throw the caveat out there: if we do purchase the property on, or in the event we would not own that whole block. Correct me if I'm wrong, because there's also private parcel ownership in that area, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one thing. Two, what would be the folks like the Chamber of Commerce to speak on that? People that are actually experts in the space, that have owned businesses and that have talked to these business communities and that have relationships with developers. That's not the only options. You know, in other communities, they have community development departments that actually help facilitate the sale of property in the private market. And actually in an interstate like First Avenue, very high traffic count, you know, you get some good folks in there. I bet that could happen. So also in terms of who's gonna be, are you spearheading this? Is Frank? He's not here to speak on it. So who's next? Because I'm concerned if you're spearheading it. That which goes back to my council manager form of government conversation. It's about who's doing stuff. So I understand the sentiment. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it needs to be the only restaurants under the bus. That's not fair. I'm not going to throw any of those establishments under the bus. I just don't think that was fair and appropriate to do that. But I would like to encourage, we're talking about the village manager's report. He has a lot of stuff on his report. He's not here to do that. I did get his email. He said he wasn't going to be here this week, but since it was on the agenda, maybe he thought he was going to skate through. Because you can skate through a Maywood and get a whole contract and not show up. So maybe he thought he was going to skate through. Maybe the fix is already in. But I actually thought that I was going to be talking to him tonight. So I'm going to say that just to say, First Avenue, that's my comment. I don't think there's a clear direction on what we're doing, and I don't agree with this idea of just boxing out select restaurants. We've seen that with Popeyes. It's not clear from the village manager who's going to actually be managing this. And so that's my comment in terms of the village manager report. I would like to encourage the board to consider tabling the discussion until another meeting in terms of the decision on his bonus and it's not really his role. He's on an expired contract. I think we need to pause and figure out what we want to do, period. He's on an expired contract. We do not need to make a decision today. He obviously isn't, it's not that urgent. So he's not here. So I don't feel like I would ask him if he thought it was urgent, but he's not here. So I think we can table that until he's here, because that's the morning to do business. But it's his reports I thought I would say. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trustee. One moment, Trustee. Burger King, if everybody remembers, 2 years ago announced that they were closing 500 locations across the nation. The Burger King in Maywood is closed. The Burger King on First and Lake caught an oil fire. They closed and they never reopened. We do still have a Burger King on Roosevelt Road. So to act like we're boxing out fast food, it's a closed business. And it's been closed for nearly 2 years. The other conversation, when it comes to the village manager, one, Trustee, you turned in your evaluation of the village manager over 30 days ago. We know you're not going to vote for him because you didn't vote for him in the first period. Did not have a meeting with the village manager that you yourself have confirmed you knew he was not going to be here tonight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, he sent you an email telling you that. He said
this.
So it's Tuesday, bro. Like, I'm just saying. It's very clear. If an email comes out saying, I'm not going to be in this week, Tuesday is part of this
All right,
week,
let's take
right?
the discussion
So,
then.
so
Let's take the
trustee,
discussion then, is what I'm
trustee, I don't interrupt you, please don't interrupt me. That's all I'm asking. Whatever narrative you want to paint, I don't interrupt it. No matter how misguided I think it is, no matter how leading I believe that it is, no matter how negative or toxic I think it is. The list that you're able to highlight and show 3 pages is a list that you've had for over 30 days.
No.
So at the end of the day, if you were so concerned with your propaganda,
This is my problem.
you would, well, I'm saying you would have had a meeting with the village
This
manager.
is mine.
He said in the meeting when you received that
I know,
list,
but I don't work for
to
him.
have, right.
I don't work for him, but
He
I
doesn't
think you
work for
forgot
you. He
that.
works for
And I don't work
Village
for you either, so he doesn't dictate.
He
He don't give me what I
trustee,
do.
again, disrespectful.
I
I
know.
do not interrupt you.
I just
Please
have
do
to-
not interrupt me.
All right.
You
Sorry
hold
about
up,
that.
you're not sorry. That's the problem. Work actions versus reaction. Like actions versus words are different,
I'll speak.
right? Your actions show your
I
disrespect.
understand.
30 days, don't hurry me because I don't hurry you. No matter how negative, toxic, or ridiculous I think you're being, I never stop you. So at the end of the day, if you genuinely had a question, comment, concern, or narrative for the village manager that you yourself have told you he was not going to be here today, that you yourself have held that list for 30 days, that you yourself turned in your evaluation over 30 days ago. Meet with the village manager, talk to the village manager, have a conversation with the village manager, but don't bring over 30 days ago, he gave you this list of saying, you asked me what have we accomplished, here's 3 pages of line items of things we have accomplished. If you would like to discuss it, I open the one-on-one meetings. You intentionally chose not to meet with somebody for 30 days as an elected official on this board that is a staff member that you vote on. You intentionally chose to wait for this board meeting that you knew he was not going to be here present for, to act like you're just appalled that he's not here. Stop. You knew he wasn't coming today. He's on vacation. He informed you of that. He gave you that list over 30 days ago. You gave him his review over 30 days ago. If you genuinely cared, aside from theater, the other parcel, so we own half the block. Burger King owns the owner of a former Burger King owns the other half of the block, and the middle piece that's a slither is owned by another developer or owner that is also in active communication and understanding what the goal of that project is. So I don't want you to act like that. When you say the project should go before the Chamber of Commerce, Jesse, we all, and I think any resident that's active knows the Chamber of Commerce. There's not one person on that board that operates $1 million business. So to say that this needs to go before them, I would disagree. When you say you have a concern, if I am a part of the conversation of First Avenue, your car wash on First Avenue, if it was not for Mayor Booker. We would not have a Casa de Puro cigar lounge if it was not for Mayor Booker. So at the end of the day, respectfully, when you say you have a problem with me being a part of conversations, I can name every aspect of Maywood that we've grown over the last 4 years that I was very active and intentional on. So if it's a development with Pitt County, 1, you can Google search articles that they're working with the Village of Maywood. 2, you can look up Bill Cook. Bill Cook has also gave investment in this police station. Bill Cook is also working with us on the 3rd and 4th floor of the 200 building. Conversation, your toxicity of the growth and evolution of Maywood is my problem when we have these conversations. When you look at the properties that we're doing, the work that we're doing, like don't discredit that. That's all I'm gonna say. We have development happening throughout the village of Maywood. You are very clear on the direction of First and Lake. You've seen projects been published, celebrated, and even press conferenced of Build Up Cook from Cook County. Don't do that. That's all I'm saying. All right. Village attorney report. Does anybody have anything for village attorney report?
Mayor,
Trustee Sanchez.
I just had a real quick question regarding letter C, D next to that. What's stopping me, another entity, from doing that? So that we don't have what we have all along our business corridors of the duplicate businesses.
So realistically, when we're looking at, we established the downtown district from Quincy to Fifth Avenue. There's nothing to stop you from being another business right next door to them. This ordinance change really is just we're changing the ordinance to mirror the liquor license. So right now, you can have a liquor license if you're 100 feet door to door. The hookah ordinance is 1,000 feet door to door. So all we're doing is updating the ordinance to mirror what we already have for liquor. But there's nothing, I mean, we have the ordinance in spaces of like 1,000 square. You could not have the same exact establishment, but if you look to having a restaurant next to them, there's nothing to stop that. But realistically, you would not be able to open up a hookah lounge next door to them. You would not be able to open up, well, different things like that. I think for specialty facilities, we have the ordinance in place. But just saying, if you wanted to open up another food venue that provided alcohol, there's nothing to stop you from that. But this ordinance specifically, moving the 1,000 feet to 100 feet, is literally just aligning us to where we are for the liquor ordinance. It's nothing more.
I mean, it's obviously acceptable because it's the same owner with two different businesses, which is great. Thank him for opening here, but I'm just curious.
Wow, maybe let us know where we are in terms of these new TIF districts and the kind of expectation on ETA on joint board review and like kind of these public hearings or what might be holding that up.
Attorney Marks.
Trustee, so the village has a village-wide enterprise zone, and due to a kind of a nuance in the law, we need a change to not only our enterprise zone ordinance, which we've already held a public hearing and made the necessary change regarding the ability to give tax breaks in a TIF, but we also adjacent communities to hold their public hearings and pass the necessary changes. And after that, we could go forward with the TIFs. So with staff, we're working through that and putting pressure on those entities to get that done so that we can set up these TIFs and finalize our new TIFs.
Mayor?
Trustee.
Trustee Sanchez.
Have these communities not done their open meetings yet? I thought they were already on board.
Everybody's had their open meeting. The issue that we ran into was Bellwood and Cravenform. Bellwood agreed to it, but they didn't have the public hearing. So Bellwood's paperwork that they are trying to submit is not valid because they didn't have the public hearing. So Merrill's Park is done. Trustee Jones.
Thank you. So, Attorney, just I guess 2 more comments on the TIF. One in terms of the date. So, are we in a position right now where we really don't have like an ETA on when that, just an approximate time frame when this might be resolved? That's the first question. Just as the same community, I just want to make sure we're clear on that. The other one is, would you be able to explain maybe high level what the impact would be of a municipality purchasing property, a commercial property, let's say for instance First and Lake Burger King, and what that impact would be as it relates to establishing a TIF and with the goal of First and Lake in where we purchase up until the point where we would develop it or sell it to someone private. Is there an impact to the increment that we should be kind of aware of?
So, to answer your question, the timeline, realistically, Bellwood is now aware that they didn't go through the right process. So they are having their meetings this month. So on the best case scenario, our August 5th board meeting, we would have all of the TIF contracts signed from the different municipalities. Worst case scenario, we would have to wait until September. The village of Maywood is not purchasing property to keep it. repurchasing it to develop it. But Attorney Myers.
Sure. So the kind of activity that should work to your advantage to, once you get a developer in there and they start cranking out taxes and property taxes and everything else, that's when your EAV increases, you get that increment and you're able to fund additional projects. So that's kind of the whole bird's eye view of why you want to acquire properties next to each other in these, within a TIF district.
May I ask one more follow-up question? I guess my question was specifically around pre-sale or pre-passing this off to a developer. If we establish these TIF districts, then they start to want to increase increment. Hypothetically, let's just say we actually all property and we don't, for whatever reason, whether it be similar to other things that we're waiting on the state and kind of get grants, etc. Those things take time. I guess my question is there an impact to the village of Maywood having ownership as it relates to us capturing that increment pre-development?
I don't think that's necessarily true because there hasn't been an active business here for 2 years. I'm sure once that closed, they switched their status to vacant, non-functioning property. So they're not paying the same taxes that they were when it was an active Burger King. So the impact of you acquiring it and then
No trustee comments. I need 15 omnibus agenda.
Mayor,
Trustee Jones.
I do have one trustee comment.
It's not trustee comments, but I'm saying committee reports. So we're not on this agenda, not a trustee comments yet.
Oh, that's accurate.
So I need a motion to approve the omnibus agenda.
motion to approve.
Motion to approve by trustee Sanchez, second by trustee Jones. Please read the omnibus agenda.
Can we pull those items?
Which item? Are you looking at new business or omnibus? So like some
Financial report in the amount of $2,339,000, I'm sorry, $2,339,836.64. Under B motion to approve the warrant list number 200563 dated June 27, 2025, in the amount of $2,077,895.65. Letter C, an ordinance ratifying and authorizing the creation and issuance of a Class C temporary special event liquor license for non-village owned property to applicant Maywood Park District for the 2025 Wind Down Wednesday special events to be held at 921 South 9th Avenue property. The 2025 special event dates are June 11th, 18th, 2018, and the issuance of a Class M bar and grill liquor license to Vibes Lounge LLC at 11 North 5th Avenue, extended hours of operation. Letter E, ordinance authorizing the creation and issuance of a Class F special event space banquet hall liquor license to TJ's Ice Cream Steaks and Catering Services Inc. at 718 South 5th Avenue, regular hours of operations and extended hours pursuant to section 117.41F. Letter F, ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of a construction agreement with the lowest responsive and qualified bidder, Tribute Construction Inc. for the completion of the 2025 commercial parking and roadway improvements project and the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street 5th Avenue TIF District funds and the Roosevelt Road TIF District funds to pay street from 6th Avenue to 5th Avenue, Randolph Street from 6th Avenue to 4th Avenue, Regent Street from 1st Avenue to 150 feet east of 1st Avenue, 10th Avenue from Roosevelt Road to alley north of Roosevelt Road, and 11th Avenue from Roosevelt Road to alley north of Roosevelt Road. Letter G, a resolution approving the content of and or release of certain closed meeting minutes of the combined committee of the whole special village board meetings of the president and board of trustees of the village of Maywood, 2025 half-year review. Letter H, resolution ratifying and approving the execution of the resignation and retirement agreement and release of all claims from Christopher Flowers and authorizing the payment of compensation in accordance with Illinois Housing Development Authority relative to a strong communities program grant, round 2 for rehabilitation and demolition of abandoned residential properties. Letter J, resolution authorizing the approval and execution of an environmental right of entry access agreement with the Cook County Department of Environment and Sustainability and Road, Inc. pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act funded neighborhood revitalization brownfield remediation program to demolish 1510 Madison Street property located within the Madison Street Fifth Avenue tax increment financing district, and for the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street Fifth Avenue tax increment financing district funds to pay for the TIF eligible redevelopment costs related to demolition work not covered by the American Rescue Plan of $9,197. Letter L, motion to waive competitive bidding and to award a contract with proposal number 250212 in the amount of $100,000 to 2011 Construction of Chicago, Illinois for Maywood Yard Cleanup Project, cleanup and village dump site at 2nd Avenue in Wilcox. Letter M, motion to waive competitive bidding and to approve payment of invoice number 11513 dated June 21st, 2025, issued by Geno's Heating and Plumbing, Inc. of Broadview, Illinois, for emergency water main break services work at 1615 South 17th Avenue in the amount of $24,000. And Rutger, Finelli and Associates, Inc. of Wheaton, Illinois, for services rendered and performed of the Maywood streetlight audit in the amount of $35,000. O, motion to waive competitive bidding and to award a contract to Sports Fields, Inc. of Alsip, Illinois for baseball field improvements at Conner-Hazen Memorial Park in the amount of $12,500. Letter P, motion to waive competitive bidding and award a contract with proposal number PRB 804433 in the amount of $23,450 to Uline of Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin for park improvements, bleachers at Conner-Hazen Memorial Park. Letter Q, ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a term sheet and a purchase and sale agreement with Cook County, Illinois, doing business as Cook County Land Bank Authority for the village. Available funding sources and the waiver of village liens and other monies due to the village from the Cook County Land Bank Authority to allow the property acquisition. Letter R, resolution authorizing and approving the execution of a development agreement concerning property commonly known as 4 North 8th Avenue, Illinois, with 15th and 9th Avenue Properties LLC, the termination of previous redevelopment agreement regarding the same. S, an ordinance amending subsection E, prohibited locations of section 116.08, regulations and sales of distribution of tobacco products, of chapter 116, tobacco, of title XI, business regulations, 11, of the Maywood Village Code relative to prohibited locations for smoking lounge at 1309 through 1319 South 2nd Avenue, and for the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street TIF, 5th Avenue TIF district funds to pay for the purchase of the property and other TIF eligible redevelopment costs related to the purchase. U, a motion directing the Maywood Planning Commission Zoning Board of Appeals to hold a public hearing on zoning code tax amendment changes in previous surface coverage requirements, allowable parking pad locations, pole signs, and other minor changes and or code cleanup changes. Letter B, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a letter of interest with Realty Income Corporation relative to the purchase by the Village of Maywood property located at 49 West Lake Street, authorizing execution of subsequent purchase and sale agreement for purchase of the property and other costs related to the purchase.
Please call the roll.
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon.
Yeah, I would like that to be amended so my folks can be recognized for item letter B.
B. So, can we get an agreement of amendment to pull letter B out of the omnibus agenda?
Letter B?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so agreed, trustee Jones, your second, can we amend letter B to be pulled out of the omnibus agenda?
Yes.
Okay, please call the roll.
Trustee Wood?
Minus B.
Trustee Brandon?
Aye.
Mayor Booker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
motion to approve an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of the letter of interest with Realty Income Corporation relative to the purchase by the village of property located at 49 West Lake Street, authorizing the execution of the subsequent purchase of the sale and agreement pursuant to the terms of the letter of interest and approving the purchase by the village of the 49 West Lake Street property and the appropriation and expenditure of the general or other available funds to pay for the purchase of the property and other costs related to the purchase. I need a motion.
Motion.
A motion by trustee Sanchez. I need a second.
Second.
Second by trustee Owsley. Please call the roll.
Aye.
Trustee Smiley. Trustee Brandon.
No.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, new business. We're gonna hold off on A, and we're gonna hold off on B. I need a motion of an ordinance amending the section 3032 rules of Title 3 Administration of the Village of Maywood Code relative to amendments to the village board meeting protocol and rules of procedure. I need a motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Owsley, second by trustee Sanchez. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Owsley.
Aye.
Trustee Smiley.
In was it July, I know we were looking to connect either on the 8th or the 15th. I just wanted to know, Trustee Sanchez.
I'll be out of town.
But trustee, again, there's been no appointments to the committees. The next board retreat is August 5th, so I'm not sure how you're making announcements for committees that have not been established yet.
Wait, so have they been discontinued?
Yes,
Also, we don't have any more trustee-led committees.
that's a part of the August 5th board of the retreat.
Okay, I guess was everybody else under that impression? Did you guys do that? You knew that?
Nobody else wants to call the meeting.
All right, well, okay.
Of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Sanchez, second by trustee Alfred. Please call the roll.
I have a question.
This motion on the floor.
Sorry?
This motion on the floor. Please call. What's your question?
Well, you gotta
What's your question? I
ask.
said we're going to discuss it in closed session.
Right.
So can we?
Well, I was
discuss
hoping
it?
that we could table it all together.
Can we discuss it in closed session?
Okay.
There's a motion on the floor to discuss. it.
Okay, so then we can take
Right.
it.
Can we please call the roll?
Trustee Williams.
Trustee Williams.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Owsley. Aye. Trustee Smiley.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Everyone have a blessed night. Thank you so much.
So for the record, we may return home.
Yes. So we were recessing.
Yeah, I was supposed to.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.